This last weekend, 5th of April, was both the birthday of Agnetha Baltskog, the Swedish pop singer-songwriter for ABBA, who part-sold 180 million from 60 credits, and it was also the death day of American grunge singer-songwriter Kurt Cobain of Nirvana, who sold 15 million from 49 credits. As usual, here is the abbreviation list for beginners, but the padas were explained in the previous videos. Here is a closer look. What strikes you with their similarities or differences? Remember, if you are a fan of any of these celebrities, check if your affinity tallies with their chart. Immediately we see 7 red retrogrades between them, and notice Kurt's third pada in yellow, no air. Speaking of absence, Tom Hanks, who was shown on the 3rd of April, has absent red cardinal signs if we look deeper in his Shodas Vargas. That's division 16. His first house Venus with Jupiter shows his power of entertainment. We can investigate a lot of news how charts relate for the advancement of astrology. Agnetha, for example, shares the same nakshatra constellation 16 with these 7 artists. And as more are compiled and analysed, more insights are found. And I know spelling of names will be corrected. Notice Julie Andrews was covered on the 3rd of April. Many more share the 15th nakshatra, of which George Harrison and Phil Collins I have prepared earlier when looking at their Oscar wins. Prepared like first on the list, Bruce Springsteen, singer, with last on the list, Nicolas Cage, the actor, all these sharing the 14th nakshatra. So put Agnetha and Julie side by side for sharing 16th nakshatra. It depends on which type of chart you compare, of course, so you may see no affinity. Cage and Bruce have some affinity, sharing the 14th nakshatra. We can start by finding Nemo in the 11th house. That's NE for Neptune and the important Moon. So Moon first. Both their moons are ruled by Libra, while the Neptune leads to their other share. A cluster here called Sakimi happens to be the same cluster. But Harrison and Collins, however, have a ridiculously tight affinity to each other. Same 15th nakshatra, same zodiac order, so same retrograde Pluto in 10th house, ruled by Cancer, both won Oscar. Both Moon in the 1st house and ruled by Libra, both Neptune retrograde in the 12th house, ruled by Virgo. Were they separated at birth? No, but how many are checking their birth years? So it then makes you think. Fortunately, computers now help us to cross-correlate all these statistics, so we can see the connections in a second. England is tiny, so of course singers are going to interact. Phil even has an association relationship with Anna Frid, the other ABBA singer, but she is Rodden Class C, so that level is inaccurate. Phil was even an extra shown in the re-release of the Beatles film A Hard Day's Night. Do their empty 2nd and 7th house mean anything? Both those empty houses are ruled by Mars. George's Mars is in Sagittarius, a sign of Jupiter, and thus the host of his Mars, Jupiter, is seen in a sign of Mercury or Gemini. Phil's Mars is in Aquarius, a sign of Saturn, and Saturn is in Virgo, a sign of Mercury. In other words, Mars, the owner of their 2nd and the 7th houses, have Jupiter and Saturn as hosts, and both are in the sign of Gemini. So next would be to investigate their biographies for similar trends related to family, that's 2nd house, and partners or associations, that's the 7th house. But that's for an army of researchers. Back on track, as we end with Kurt, his fire and water, both very busy padas. Parasara called these padas to the elements in Navamsas, so let's just call them the elements of Rasi, showing the same red fire, green earth, blue water, and the other primary yellow for air. Vargas or finer divisions like Shodas Vargas and Navamsas, in which we can look deeper, and see those suffering from lack of willpower, how much strain they can be, for how long until they can change for the better. But ultimately it's their choice. Kurt took a shotgun to his own head at age 27. Didn't get the medical attention he needed. Nutritionists, sociologists, psychologists, neurologists, and even psychiatrists, as excellent Brazilian mental health experts say, help. By following the system of the Tarabalas, where Vipat Tarabala, or the red danger marker, we can see that this person, disguised for various data protection reasons, has his Mercury in the sub-period of Venus. There are a few ways to read this. The 12th house shows moksha, or liberation, of his country. Pluto, PL, Saturn, SA, and Venus, VE, are helping him. B.V. Raman said that some astrologers consider the 12th house to indicate a previous life. According to the Prajna Marga, the first 4 houses from the moon, or Lagna, show the present time. The following 4 houses are the future, and the next 4 houses are the past. From the moon sign, the cluster of those 3 planets show the past, and from the Lagna as well. This person was born with the moon in Scorpio, Janma Rasi, and Jyestha, Janma Nakshatra. Therefore, he was born in the Mercury Mahadasa, or the major period of Mercury. And from the 15th of November 2016, he started the Jupiter Mahadasa, or his Mitra Tarabala, where he has Saturn and Venus. From 27th of September 2024, he's going to be in his Venus sub-period and Jupiter major period. According to my experience of seeing thousands of horoscopes when in the periods of Jupiter-Venus or Venus-Jupiter, the time is mixed with good and bad results. This may be a contradiction of the rules because technically Jupiter and Venus are the most beneficial planets of the 9, but I say here as Shukracharya, or Venus, as giving a burning of karma and hence the bad events around. Plus, Venus is the Vipat Lord, or the planet that can give dangers. He is now in the Jupiter major period and Ketu sub-period. His Jupiter, the major lord, rules his Mitra Tarabala. Mitra means friend, and is in Sadhana Tarabala. Mitra is friendly, and Sadhana is the spiritual intention, which according to capacity is manifested as nationalism or as the pursuit of spiritual advancement. The dangers here are a hostile environment, wanting to stop the person, but when the person changes his inner self, automatically the environment changes. We know that he was almost killed recently in his Ketu sub-period. Ketu is the moksha karaka, or the indicator of moksha, liberation. Death, in a way, is the liberation of the body, but in this case, he was not killed, and his liberation came as a spiritual realization. People who go through a near-death experience often realize this, and so do their friends see this change. His Ketu is with the natal moon and Pluto, the planet of death, in his Tarabala 1, and Ketu, Ke, rules his Tarabala 2, wealth. Ketu is with Rahu in the Jupiter Tarabala 8, Mitra, hence positivity or protection. On the important future date of 5th of November 2024, he will be in his Venus sub-period. Venus is his Vipat Lord, and therefore some dangers are in Tarabala 7, the mildest of the bad Tarabalas, associating with Uranus, drastic changes, Jupiter, protection, and Neptune, ideals. Therefore some strong opposition, but protection and victory. His sub-periods will be Jupiter, Venus, Venus periods. His Venus sub-period, Antara, will start on the 28th of the 9th, 2024. His Venus is Vipat Lord, Lord or ruler of his Vipat Tarabala, which indicates dangers, and is in Vipat Tarabala. This is according to the position of the sub-periods. In wars or fights, sometimes the rules are broken and the fights become nasty. Nasty things will be seen before things get better. Then it's the start of a new direction for the planet. All computer programs of Vedic astrology provide the planetary positions in nakshatras, and I have seen one computer program that gives the planets in sub-periods and in the sub-periods. So my reasoning is, if the planetary positions in degrees and minutes can provide their position in the Rashi or horoscope and in the Navamsa chart, then why not draw the Tarabala Yantra or the position of the planets in nakshatras?
And why not in the sub-periods and sub-sub-periods too? The designer recorded the segments of arc that divided those periods. For example, from 0 degrees Aries to 13 minutes and 20 seconds, we see the nakshatra of Ketu, or the major period of Ketu. The first sub-period of Ketu, ruled by Ketu, goes from 0 degrees Aries, 46 minutes and 40 seconds of Aries, and the first sub-sub-period of Ketu has the range from 0 degrees Aries to 2 degrees, 43 minutes and 33 seconds of Aries.